The hardest map in Black Ops 6 Zombies just got so much easier, all because they nerfed the Uber Klaus, but they also unpatched one of the best high round strategies. Unfortunately, they've also broken other things. So what's going on? Was this all intended? We need to have a serious conversation about the updates and bugs of Black Ops 6 Zombies. And for today's game, we are using the Dresden 9mm, otherwise known as the MP40, and I know a lot of us are heartbroken about this. If you haven't heard the news, they have stealth nerfed Klaus. Specifically Uber Klaus. We all know that Uber Klaus was incredibly threatening, one of the more threatening boss zombies we've gotten in zombies lately. As we're about to see, he has a shock charge sort of attack, and before that attack dealt massive damage and it completely ignored armor. They have since changed that. But not only that, they have unpatched a high round strategy, one of the most prominent high round strategies here in Reckoning. And by unpatched, I mean, if you've seen my round 100 on the Reckoning video, you will know that going up to quantum computing, just like so, and then hugging this elevator, if you stand right here and only here, the only place that zombies can come from is this window barrier over there. Now, after Reckoning had been out for a few weeks, they actually patched this to where zombies would come from basically everywhere, but as you can see, that is not the case anymore. If you stand all close to that, they still just come from that one window. And I just want to point out, my HUD got reset. This happens multiple times, or at least once a day, and all of this to say, and then as soon as I get like a metal, it's gonna just go crazy with the metal sound, so I apologize if it's annoying. But the reason I'm making this video, I didn't plan on making this video, but then it gets even worse. Just now, Mr. L on Twitter, and in my Discord, by the way, link in the description to the Discord, but he let me know that the Dark Flare augment that actually heals your enemies and revives enemies doesn't revive enemies anymore. And apparently there's a healing aura augment that doesn't work either. And it was just so many of these little things that it makes me worry, and I wanted to make a video about it. Because as far as I'm aware, those changes were made in the previous patch, but of course they were not in the patch notes. Now, I know I'm generally people like to say I'm positive about the game. I'd like to think I'm realistic about the game, to be honest. But one thing that I've said throughout this year is that Treyarch just needs to figure out these updates. Okay, hyperbole here, but it feels like every single major update, yes, it fixed a lot of things, which is good, but it also broke a lot of things. I mean, season 1 broke the crafting table where you can only craft one thing. Early on in the game's life cycle, in the patch notes, they would say, hey, we buffed the assault rifles, and then I'd test it out, and then the numbers that I would get were very different than the ones that were in the patch notes. And then season 2, we had a bunch of crashing issues on the tomb, and then season 3, a bunch of augments got broken. Do you guys remember when reactive armor didn't work, or PhD slider didn't work after that update? And then napalm burst got shadow nerfed. We thought it was because it was too powerful, but then randomly now in season 6 or season 5, whenever it was, I think it was season 5, it randomly got buffed or patched or fixed or whatever, and again, not on the patch notes. Now this is, ooh, what did we get? Melee Macchiato, okay. See, in Black Ops 7, that's not gonna make the Wonder Fizz or any of the perks go up in price, which I think is really cool. But anyway, all of this being said, I am very, very aware of just how deep mechanically this game is. This is probably, like, when I say I love augments and I love attachments and I love dissecting all these things, it really truly gives me an appreciation for how crazy it is to balance this game and to really design it. Because classic zombies, you look at the perks, and Jug is just giving you extra health, Speed Cola is just a reload increase, Double Tap is a rate of fire and double damage, I guess, but it's so much simpler. And then there's hardly any attachments. But with the introduction of augments and tier levels and all of these different perks, it just increases the complexity of this game by a lot. So I am very sympathetic. I completely understand how changing this could change that, and oh my goodness, this is an oversight here and it's so complex, and I get it. So I don't want to be like oh my goodness, Treyarch is just so lazy and incompetent. I don't think that's the right approach here. But I do want to just well, first of all, I want to let you guys know Dark Flare with the Dark Pact isn't working. Healing Aura, some of those augments aren't working. Obviously, the title of the video, Uber Klaus, has been nerfed dramatically. Again, we'll see just how much that is. And it leads us to be really, I guess, confused or mistrusting. I guess skeptical might be the best word of like, hey, you know, was Napalm Burst really patched or nerfed, or was it just broken for half the year and they meant it to work like it does now? Was Uber Klaus was so strong, and that was part of the identity of Reckoning, and it was the hard challenging map, and Environmentalist like basically made those electrical attacks much more palatable, and so it really encouraged you to change up your augments when playing this map. I loved it. That was a benefit of playing this mode. But now with these changes, especially when they're not communicated to us, it makes us think like, okay, so was this just bugged for all of this life cycle, you know? Which again makes Treyarch look really bad and lazy and all this stuff, which is not a good look. And I'm well aware it might be the case that I'm just chronically online now because this is the first year I've really covered a round-based map round-based year by Treyarch. But Modern Warfare 3 was also very glitchy throughout its life cycle. It still very much is. It just doesn't bode well. And Elemental Pop, dude, I swear I get Elemental Pop like every time. And again, I don't want this to come off as too complaining because I truly do understand like just how crazy this game has to be under the hood. Ew, brain rot, no thank you. But especially after all of these findings today, I think it's gotten to the point where I just kind of had to make a video about it because this really cannot be the case with Black Ops 7. I mean, it has really put a stain on a lot of the experiences of Black Ops 6, even if it's not for the long term. During the seasonal progression, when you first send out those patch notes and oh my goodness, hey, the patch you said didn't actually change anything, that's not good. And then especially when everyone's looking at your game until season 1, season 2, season 3, whatever, if things aren't exactly as you say them, or we find things that have been changed but weren't in the patch notes, it just creates confusion and frustration from the players because, you know, if you're a high rounder, I believe this quantum computing thing was put in the patch notes that it was fixed, but now it's back again. So it's just this frustrating back and forth state of the game. But also, like, I don't think Treyarch meant to unpatch it. I think it was an accident. So there's really two problems is what I'm saying here. One, there's the problem of, hey, when you fix things, like I'm sure the Napalm Burst thing was meant to be a fix, like, hey, these augments aren't working, let's fix them. I'm sure that was meant to be fixed. Those things aren't in the patch notes and they're not communicated. And then there are the random just bugs. And I hate complaining about it because it's one of those things where, of course, there's gonna be bugs. There's gonna be things that you just don't know because you don't know what you don't know, right? You think the code works. I mean, in my spreadsheets, there's like bugs in my spreadsheets. There's like this cell interacting with this cell strange, or I forgot to copy paste this over, or this didn't work like I thought it would. Like, obviously, like accidents happen, like that's fine. But something about the severity and the frequency and the consistent frequency of these bugs, I think got a little too out of hand this year. I can't imagine the developmental nightmare it is to work on a game as big and complex as Zombies, especially when sharing the engine with multiplayer and Warzone and how many other different studios all across the country, all across the world, different languages, different schedules. Like, I get it. I'm not going to be the one to shout in Treyarch's face and call them stupid and incompetent because that's just unproductive and hopefully most of the time untrue. I know certain people at certain workspaces, I understand people are people. But I also remember I was in a very, very high level of leadership at my job, and there was a certain aspect of it that my team and my department was just not doing right. It's not that we didn't care. It's not that we weren't aware of the issue or like coming up with some solutions for the issues, but it got to the point where my boss needed to come talk to me and be like, hey, Donuts, like, we're not saying you don't care. We're not saying this, that, but what we are saying is however you're going about solving this problem isn't working. Maybe we need to hand this problem off to somebody else. Maybe the strategy needs to be different. Maybe the way you think you fix this is actually not how you fix this. In order to get results you've never gotten, you need to do things you've never done. So if you keep having this problem and you keep trying to solve it the same way, you're probably going to get the same results. And I just feel like that might be where Treyarch's at with these blog posts and patch notes and all of these bugs. Like, these bugs started in season 1. A lot of you guys might not remember that season 0, the launch of this game, was incredibly good. It was probably the single best launch of a product or a Call of Duty game, especially zombies. Actually, I don't remember about the multiplayer, but especially with zombies, one of the best launches we've had since like Black Ops 1. Not a lot of bugs, very solid maps. It was very good. And then season 1 and then season 2 and all of this, it just downward spiraled. Now, I'm not going to say it's like exponentially worse, but there were things, you know, on the menu, your challenges wouldn't exactly track all the time. The combat record, the leaderboards are still glitched to this day. And like, these are great features. These are awesome features that we want to see, but I want to see them work because the leaderboard is useless unless I actually know it's accurate. Otherwise, it's just kind of a fun, oh, this isn't accurate, but here's about what this is. And now, here is the Uber Klaus. Let's see if we can't get. So normally this area of effect that he's about to shoot out right here would do insane damage and it would go through armor, but now it takes armor damage and it's only dealing like 5 hits of damage. It's pretty weak. Now, I have one of the best SMGs in the game here. So yeah, here you go. Look at that. Look at that. It's like 4 or 5 ticks or 4 or 5 health per tick. It's really not that good. We are in like one of the earlier stages of damage scaling, but it does reduce our armor quite a bit. So that's a new threat, I guess. But again, it's kind of lacking that uniqueness. It's kind of just like any other special enemy now. And I know I've been kind of harsh, and I know a lot of people are going to hate this change, but I want to be fair and realistic and really think about this logically. Even though this is much easier and far less oppressive, I don't think it's that bad in the grand scheme of things. It definitely takes away a ton of personality from this map, which is a big loss. But when you think about how threatening an abomination is, or a disciple is, or even an amalgam, like this is about as threatening as that. So it's pretty on par with the other enemies of the mode. And here you go. I'm sitting in it again. Like I can sit in here. I'm losing a good amount of armor and I'm going to be able to kill him really fast. Cause like I said, I got a really good SMG here, but there's that one. There's that one. So is it a bad change? I think it depends on your playstyle. I think playing, oh man, this MP40 is really good. I think a lot of people had a challenge with this map because of how challenging Uber Klaus was. But again, the solution, I tried to preach it and scream it from the rooftops whenever I could. That environmentalist really helped out. The area of effect, you were immune to that area of effect if you had environmentalist on and you slid through it. And I thought that was a great way of encouraging us to play things differently. It gave the map a little bit of uniqueness. And it is sad, very sad that that is gone. Ooh, perfect RCXD, exactly what I was looking for. We're gonna get the Ether Blade this game, but first I'm gonna triple pack a punch. And I'm gonna try not to forget this painting. But of course, outside of them nerfing Uber Klaus comes the interesting question of why? Now, if you don't know, I'm gonna break your heart here a little bit. We have seen a like 1-second clip of Uber Klaus in a dark etherified Janus Towers for Ashes of the Dam. I know, it's pretty heartbreaking, but a lot of people speculate that that is exactly why that he got a nerf here, because if he's returning in Black Ops 7, maybe they nerfed him in Black Ops 7, which retroactively nerfs him in Black Ops 6. And let's get some Cryo Freeze. I just want to remind you, this is like one of the best SMGs in the game here with Cryo Freeze, and I've got Elemental Pop with Vulnerabine, so of course he's gonna deal that much damage, or we're gonna deal that much damage to him. So yeah, that's normal. I don't think he got any less bullet spongy than he was. And actually, you know what? I missed an opportunity there. They actually did nerf him even more, now that I'm thinking about it. That electrical attack does less damage to the mutant injection. So the mutant injection is a little bit more viable now. It's not perfectly viable. It's not like the answer to him, but it is more usable. And we'll do that. We'll definitely play until we get another Uber Klaus. I want to show you that. But a lot of people speculate that because he's on Ashes of the Damned in some form or fashion, and because they're making the boss zombies have a little bit less prominence there, I guess, even though they want them to be more challenging, kind of like they were in the past. I don't know. That might be an explanation of why they nerfed him here. Maybe they nerfed him here so that way he is more powerful in Black Ops 7. Maybe that's the case. And maybe they just swapped the damage values for the games. Maybe this is how strong he was supposed to be all time, or at all times in Black Ops 6. And then in Black Ops 7, maybe we'll get the difficult version of Uber Klaus, since they did say they want those elite enemies to be a little bit stronger in Black Ops 7. But again, that just comes down to the whole communication problem. Normally, whenever somebody says, oh, Treyarch is bad at communicating, usually I just think it's because they can't read the blog posts. For example, just see everybody thinking the tomb was going to be Origins 2.0 when the first thing we heard about the tomb is that they wanted it to be like Liberty Falls, but that's a whole can of worms there. But in this case, I definitely think when it comes to the patch notes, we need to see more thorough patch notes. Not necessarily better communication, not necessarily explanations up to this, but if something is confusing, then yeah, maybe add in an explanation, of course. Let's open up our safe here, do this lockdown. We've got 9 seconds of insta-kill, which should be good. Where's that disciple at? There you go, disciple, and you're dead. And we need to kill some more zombies before this thing can fill up with souls. There we go. And we've got the ether blade. Cool. Oh, and we need to go get stamina up, so we have the hot foot thing going on. I know it's really difficult for big AAA evil company in people's eyes to be vulnerable, because no matter what, people are just going to be crazy and call them lazy no matter what. But I genuinely think one of the biggest downsides of Black Ops 6 was the patch notes, was the constant breaking and changing of things, the lack of clarity of like, hey, this napalm burst thing was nerfed, but you didn't put it in the patch notes, so we're assuming you meant it to be nerfed, but then you fixed it here, so was it meant to be nerfed in the first? Like, you know, it's just, especially as somebody who does augment testing, if an augment is working this way, but it says one thing and does another, like, is that intended now? I don't know. You guys get the idea. So I do have a question for you. Because it is not uncommon for augments to be bugged entirely, how would you like to see me handle my augment reviews if I do come across an augment that is bugged? Because there is still some value in doing those augment reviews, because like with Napalm Burst, we never know when they're gonna actually fix whatever's broken. So I could either make the augment review and then make an updated augment video when everything is fixed, or I can make a video of what's broken and then not make an augment video until it's fixed. I don't know. I'll probably play it by ear depending on what is bugged, if anything. Hopefully there's not too much bugged, because like I said, they really need to get it together this year. But I worry because there's carry forward that those augments with like Dark Flare and Healing Aura are also going to be bugged at launch, which is not good, because I'm sure there are plenty of other things that they want to deal with at launch other than fixing their bugs. But here I want to show you Uber Klaus versus the mutant injection. Now, Uber Klaus used to just destroy the mutant injection. Now he doesn't really. He'll punch you and you could see that my health goes down, but standing in this electrical field used to take us down on damage a lot, but now it doesn't. Looks like the Doppelgaster still one shot. Now, if we get shot by those electrical things, it will take us down in health from the mutant injection, but just the area of effect doesn't, which I believe is different. So if you try to take out an Uber Klaus with the mutant injection, it's possible, but you're not going to be able to do much else, which to be honest isn't that big of a nerf or buff or whatever you want to say. I still would think that the death machine is better for many strategies, but then again, the mutant injection is just a really safe bet. It's so hard to say. It's really, really tough to say. In fact, we're going to get another Uber Klaus, and I want to test out and see if I can't kill him with a single mutant injection. I'm going to try and make a conscious effort this year to be more explicit in my criticisms, I guess that's a word for it. Like I said, a lot of people paint me as this like positive person, but I think that's just because I like a lot of things about Black Ops 6. I am always honest with the things I don't like. I hate that we don't have any intro cutscenes. I think I made it very clear I hate all of the reused wonder weapons and special enemies, which are like my main things about this game. But I guess I'm gonna try to communicate my negativity in a more clear way. I don't know. I find whenever I like watch a video of myself complaining about something, I just find it so annoying. So whenever I talk about something negative, I do want it to be constructive. I do want it to be like, hey, I understand this is difficult, but this is pretty unacceptable, you know? Like all of these augments not working, attachments not working, menu things not working throughout the year. It's not good. And I'm gonna blow your minds now here. I would be willing to bet that for as annoying it is for us to have all of these bugs, I betcha it's potentially even more annoying for the developers to hear about all these bugs. Because like I said, when I was at my job and we made mistakes and my team made mistakes, it was infuriating to me. Obviously, people are human, so we've got to have some grace, but we've also got to push forward. We've also got to start making progress. Okay, I hear an Uber Klaus. Okay, this is going to be a really good example of, let's see if we can't take care of him in one mutant injection here. So let's hit him like that. If you sprint into him, oh my goodness. If you sprint into him, it kind of stuns him a little bit. I think I mentioned that on a previous video, but we're gonna do that. He's got his shields up. I really should have the health bars on. If we don't kill him, I'll turn on the health bars and see how close he is, but we are almost done. So, oh, okay, bonus points. There we go. Wow. Okay, I really thought we'd be able to take care of him. Let's see how far down he is. Zombie health bars. Where are you at? Okay, wow, he's still got quite a bit of health on him. So, you know what? That's honestly not too bad. I almost think that's really fair. Like, that's really cool. Like, that's still not super effective. Clearly, it's not the instant win button that the mutant injection is with all of the other enemies. So that's really positive to know. And yes, I have tested the death machine is still very much effective. So I do still like that. Okay, that makes it a lot better for me, actually. It's not completely an easy win now. You still got to put in some strategy. It doesn't annihilate the mutant injection like it did before, but it's not a free Uber Klaus kill either. I love Reckoning, man. This is such a solid map with Forsaken here talking to you. You've got the robots here that fit the theme. I mentioned it in, I think, yesterday's video, where a lot of these maps are really immersive. There's not a whole lot of like atmosphere that I like. I mean, it's a beautiful map, right? Like, it looks good. I do think this is one of the best facility maps we've gotten in Zombies, if you ask me, but it's not super pretty to look at. There are beautiful areas, of course, but I do think this is pretty immersive. It feels like this is an actual location and we're meant to be here. I just wish it was a little bit more stylized. Oh my goodness, I just remembered. Do you guys remember for like, again, season 2 to like season 3, potentially even longer, the exfil objective indicators, as well as all of the objective indicators for the Easter egg steps on Shattered Veil just didn't show up? And yes, like I said at the beginning of the video, to this day, the custom HUD layout constantly glitches. I have to reset it nearly every day. When you and then when you save and quit on Citadel de More, you constantly get the stamps zombies over and over again. Like, there's a lot of these little tiny details. Now, super happy with the custom HUD, super happy with save and quit. If I had to choose between no save and quit and no customizable HUD versus having those things, but then those things being glitchy, I'd take them glitchy 10 times out of 10. Absolutely. I love the fact that they're there. That very much outweighs the negatives for me, but dang it, it feels really cheap and really bad to have all of these glitches still in the game. And the fact that we're doing back-to-back Zombies games, like I mentioned, it makes it pretty tough. And just to show you that the death machine is still a rock star for Klaus, there you go. I love that. I know that might be just as bad as the mutant injection for some people, but I love having different kill streaks be different solves to different combat puzzles for these different special enemies and elite enemies. I love that. I think that's one of the strengths of the sandbox that we have here, and I want to see that continued and maybe even really dived into in Black Ops 7. So again, not trying to hate, not trying to say anything unreasonable. I have a ton of respect for how deep and complex this is, and again, working with all the different people trying to assemble the blog post. I'm sure whoever writes the blog post is not who makes the changes for all of these things, but get everybody on the same Slack channel, get everybody on the same email, make it a weekly checklist, a daily checklist. Hey, did you fix any bugs today? I don't know. Whatever system you're doing, Treyarch, it's not working. It's coming from a place of love, not hate. Hopefully you guys understand. And if you know of any bugs that are currently in the game, maybe throw those in the comments section, and who knows, maybe that'll help spread the word. And yes, I am only level 947 and we're days away from Black Ops 7. It's really upsetting to me, but I'm not gonna make it to level 100 or 1000 in time. Oh. But on a lighter note, I recently just got the last of my bullet weapons all Nebula, and I saved the absolute worst for last. If you want to see the journey of my last Nebula gun, be sure to check out this video and stay beautiful.